Hey, what's going on, y'all? Today I want to show you how you can make your own bread from home. Now, this method is simple, efficient, and really gets the job done if you want a tasty artisan loaf. Something that, unlike what you get from the store, is healthy for your body, good for your system, and nourishes your soul. So, if you would like to learn how to make this bread, French bread with Poolish, you're in the right place. Let's get started. Starting off, we got everything you'll need to make the bread. First up, flour. Here I have some white all-purpose flour. Now, you can use all-purpose or you can use bread flour. Bread flour will be better because it has a higher protein content, but a way to supplement that if you don't want to invest in some protein flour, which like I said, I have all-purpose flour here, is whole wheat flour. And if you add just a little bit of this, and I like to add it to the Poolish, as I'll explain later, but this on its own, but on its own is not that good. But it has the nice higher protein level. So if you add a little bit of this to a larger flour mix, you'll get that added protein. You'll get those added nutrient benefits. Personally, I just like to put this into the Poolish, and that helps just give it a more nutrients, more proteins, more. There's just more in there to help the yeast rise. So just something to consider. Whole wheat flour can be a great addition to this bread. All right. So you'll need flour, you'll need water, you'll need sugar, salt, and yeast. And that's it. Very simple, very simple. This bread does not call for much, not even an oil. So you can just go straight in with these simple ingredients. Okay, so starting off, you're gonna need a Poolish. Poolish, and this is what I got here. It's a beautiful, well-risen conglomerate of flour, water, and yeast. Now you want to go to a 1-to-1 ratio with the flour and water. So I got a cup of flour here, a cup of water, and then only a few, if even a few, you want to go in 1 or 2 pinches of this yeast. And here, let me open this up. I'll show you exactly. Here you can see a whole bunch of little colonies. And because there are so many clumped up in one tiny clump, notice these are microscopic. So you can't exactly notice that, but microscopic that they are. They clump up and make something that you can actually see. So you have plenty. You have plenty just in a pinch. So just a little bit goes a long way. As you can see, I only put 2-3 pinches in, and that is literally just pinch of the fingers, and it rolls into this beautiful, beautiful conglomerate. So, as I said, Poolish, it rises. You want to give this 24 hours, let it rise overnight, and the next day you'll be ready to bake your bread. That's the stage we're on right now. So to begin, you want to add your Poolish with a cup of water. That's why I got this out still. You want to add the Poolish in with a cup of water, mix it together. I'll show y'all exactly what that looks like in just a moment. All right now, got the Poolish in the water just mixed together. So from here, I'm just going to go ahead and stir. Really get it incorporated, well mixed together, combine and make one solution. Once it's all well combined, you'll want to add in your flour, a teaspoon of salt, and a teaspoon of sugar. Now, a lot of people, they like to add all the dry ingredients together themselves to the side. We're trying to keep this mess low-key. I want this as low effort as possible. We're spending easy time on this, just getting it done quick as we can. So, less dishes, all in one. And as well as, you want to aim for about 4 cups of flour total. Remember, we used 1 cup of flour already for the Poolish. So that means about 3 cups added now. And this is something you're going to want to gauge for yourself, because I can't tell you the hydration of your flour, or I mean the protein content of your flour. That determines how much water it's going to absorb. And so I also can't determine your humidity. There are a lot of factors that go into how much flour you're going to need exactly. But you're going to need to feel it out. I'll show y'all exactly what you'll want to come out with as an end product, because you don't want it too soupy, and you don't want it underdone. You don't want it, like pancake mix, and you don't want it to be too stiff as a dough. All right, I'm gonna add in my teaspoon of sugar and my teaspoon of salt, and then I'll show y'all what the flour looks like. All right, now I've added 2 cups of flour plus 1 teaspoon, excuse me, of sugar and 1 teaspoon of salt. Now I'm mixing to combine. I'm gonna go ahead and pull from the bottom, pull from around the sides, and just get this well incorporated. Now this is 2 cups of flour I added to this. I have not added the next cup. I'm just gonna go ahead and add 2 cups and get this mixed up. Now the end result that you'll want to see is a shaggy collected dough. This is more like pancake mix, so it's definitely gonna need another cup. But I'm gonna get this well incorporated, and then I'll show you what the next cup looks like. As you can see, got the next cup in there. And as I incorporate this, you'll notice the water is all gone. There's very little moisture in here. At the moment, of course. It's all tucked up inside that dough. And as I move the flour inside of it, the hydrated inside is going to start moving outside. And it's going to look real shaggy and real collected. We keep mixing this, kind of grab it up from the bottom, make sure I'm grabbing all the flour on the sides, mixing that in, and getting it done. I'll show you what it looks like when I'm all finished. Here is the finished result. A very gluten elastic dough mixture. That's the cool thing about using a Poolish. You've already let the yeast and the flour do its thing. So the gluten is already stretched, the fibers and strands are already there. It's going to take no time for this to rise. So from here, you want to do a couple of things. You want to, clean the edges of this, get it ready to be wrapped with some layer of plastic wrap. But you want to note that some of the professionals, what they like to do is a fold. What that looks like is grabbing the edges of this after about an hour or so. Grabbing the edges of this with a wet hand, reaching in there, pulling the dough up as far as I can stretch it, and then flopping it back over on itself. Spin it to the other side, doing that same movement of grabbing all the way up, flopping it back over, and then you're going to have plenty of developed air pockets inside of that. It's going to be big and giant, and it's going to look great as an end product. And if you like a dough or a bread that has, like a French bread with really big pockets, that's good for you. But personally, I like a bread that has real small, tight, close, I forget exactly what they call it, but just a nice a bread with few small holes. And that, for me, is best for jam and sandwiches. That's what I like to use bread for. So, if you're just trying to get this into slices, I would advise you just put the plastic wrap on top, let it rise, and then you'll do one fold before you let the dough do the final proof. That's the only time you'll ever do a fold. It's the very end. And I'll show y'all exactly what that looks like. But yeah, you're just going to want to let this rise for about 2 hours. Ain't nothing to it. This stage just takes patience. And you want to get a metric for where exactly it is. Figure out what level it's at for mine. Mine's probably about 750. I'm going to get it stirred and flattened out just a little bit, but it's about 750. So you can watch the rise. And once this is doubled, so I'm going to wait till it gets to probably about 15. Once it's come up quite a bit, that's when you'll be ready. So just watch this. Give it about 2 hours until it's doubled in size, and then you're ready to go for the final proof. I'll meet you there. Alright. This dough is just about risen where I want it. So I'm going to let it sit for a little while longer. And now is a perfect time to talk about the baking vessel. So I have here a Dutch oven. Now this Dutch oven isn't like a typical one. It's 2 pots connected together. And that makes it for easy preheating in the oven. But you may not have this, or even just any kind of Dutch oven, a cast iron or enamel Dutch oven. So if that's your case, something else you can do is, let's say you have just a cast iron, or you have some kind of other oven-safe skillet. If you have in your oven a spot, a nice low rack where you can put, not like this, but an actual baking pan, something with some nice high walls, you can fill that with water, and that will have the same effect as baking it inside here. Because what you're doing with this is creating steam. You're keeping all the steam that the bread produces trapped inside, and that creates a beautiful artesian crust on the outside of the bread. And you won't get that if you just bake it willy-nilly in the oven. So it's something to keep in mind. Using this or having some kind of steam affecting the bread is really what makes this style bread happen. Alright, I'll get back to y'all when I'm getting this out and prepared for the fold. Okay, now that we are here preparing for the fold, I want you to clean your countertop off, get it nice and prepared for getting the dough laid out and stretched. Now this type of fold that we're doing for the final proof is called a lamination. It's where you get the dough nice and thin and spread out, and then you do those same folds I was talking about, one over the other. And so then from when you have that, you flip it over and you should have a nice skin on the bottom. Now the way to keep the dough from really sticking to your countertop is water. So if you have a spray bottle, that works best, but another way to do it, just get the water, use your hands, just get that all over the countertop, and that'll keep the dough from sticking. Make sure you wash your hands first as well. Clean countertop and clean hands. It's essential. Make sure you're keeping things clean when cooking. All right, now get a nice moist countertop here. A lot of people don't like that word moist. Countertop nice and wet. All right. Get the dough here. And I'm just gonna use a scraper, grab the dough, line the edges, put that right in the middle of the countertop. As long as you scrape, you should be able to get that whole mass out of there just fine. Something that you can keep in mind about this stage is a handy dandy tool. If I can find it, I may have misplaced it, but a handy dandy tool here is going to be a scraper. You can use that to help you move the dough around, position it, get it where you need it. I actually can't seem to find mine right now, so what I'm going to do instead is just use my hands and getting them wet. That's the main trick there. Everything just needs to be moist. Alright, now the goal is to just get this into a nice long layer. Apparently I don't have it centered very well. That's just fine. Alright, it's coming together, Don't want it to be too thick, too thin. Just getting it there. Alright, go ahead and stretch, fold. Stretch, fold. Now, you can do more than that. I think 2 folds is just going to do it here. And get that nice and tucked up. From here, you can kind of see what I'm doing is tucking the ends underneath and into the bread. And that's going to create nice structure. Alright, I'll get back to y'all once I got this together some more. Alright y'all, what I've done here is dried up any excess water, sprinkled flour on top, and couldn't find my scraper, but I did find a metal spatula, and use that damn thing. You can get up under the dough and use it just fine. But if you have a scraper, I advise you use that. That is the way to go. Now, once you have this thing up and flour all the way across it, this bad boy is a dough. Tried and true, ready to proof. So, you got it ready for the second stage of the proofing process. All we need now is some parchment paper and time. So let's get into it. Once you got yourself a fine sheet of parchment paper, get yourself a nice small skillet. Put the parchment paper up inside there. Line nice and flat. And prepare it for the dough to drop in. Now I always like to just a little flour, just a little flour. It helps to keep the dough from sticking to the parchment paper so much. That'll help you get it off at the very end. Now from here, I'm going to have to take a new video and I'll show y'all exactly what picking up that dough and plopping it right down in there looks like. Alright, here goes nothing. Got it nice and spun around, balled into something real firm. At this point, I'm gonna go ahead and pick it up in my hands. Lay it right up in there. From here, we're good. Once that bad boy is sitting flat up in there, it's gonna do all the rest of the work itself. All you need to do is get some kind of towel. Now this towel is actually the one I like to use, and you should use the same towel for this process, because the towel will collect yeast each and every time, and that yeast will help your dough proof higher and higher each time you do this. So again, I like to use this towel. That's the one I have, and then I sprinkle some flour right up in the towel. Sprinkle a little bit of flour. This helps make sure that the dough is not going to stick to the towel as you leave it on there and let it proof. Always hit it with a little, make sure there's not too much flour on there. And from there, it is ready. Cover the dough. I love that right there. That says, rise and shine. Alright, sweet dough. It's gonna spend an hour sitting just like this, and then we'll come right back. I almost forgot. We gotta set the oven. Alright. I like to bake mine at about 450. Now, the professionals do it somewhere between 450 and 500, so it just depends on your oven. In fact, this time, I'm gonna go ahead and run it 460. Why not? Okay, so once you got the oven going, time to get your pans, Dutch oven, whatever you're going to be using, time to get that preheated. So set that somewhere on your rack. I'm going to flip this around and show y'all exactly what I got up on here, how I got it on here. And yeah, y'all can check it out. Get your ovens preheated. And this is just perfect to do while the dough is proofing. As you can see, pans are in. The oven's rolling. It's time to get these bad boys going. Alright, the time has come to check the dough. As you can see, a nice full rise out of it. Now I'm going to go ahead and score it. A couple confident cuts. Just break the skin, give it a place where you can break through and rise. You know, controlled breakage of the crust. And from here, it's time to get the cast iron out and place it within. So this is where the parchment paper really comes in handy, because as opposed to having to flop the dough inside, all we have to do, grab from the edges, pull taut, almost burned myself there, look, and flop that thing right in the center. Easy as pie. From there, quiet. The top half. Now this is your Dutch oven. All you need to do is put the lid on. For me with my pan, I'm gonna go ahead and close her up. Airtight, steam being produced, and from here it goes right in the oven. I always aim for center rack, and once she's in, she's in. From here, let her sit in the oven at 450. For me, I got it at 460 right now. Let it sit in there for 30 minutes. And then we'll come back, take a look at it, and if it needs to brown a little longer, we'll leave it in there for another about 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, it's been 30 minutes, so now it is time to pull the dough out of the oven. Man, this thing is hot, hot. Whew. There she is. Beautiful artisan loaf. Alright, now is the time to separate it from the parchment paper. This is easiest to do off of pan itself. And from there, right back cast iron. Now this is, to me, very dark. This is you know, nearing completion. But I'm going to go ahead and throw it back in there for probably about 3 minutes. Give it some time to recalibrate, you know what I mean, and fully darken across the crust. But yes, this is getting right where I want it. Here it is, y'all. The final result. Alright. That doesn't look tasty. I don't know what does. It's time to get her out of that pan. Now, personally, I like to use a spurtle. So I like a spatula. Get up underneath there. Set that bad boy down. Now, it's going to sit out for an hour. Fully cool down, and you'll notice this real firm crust is going to soften. And the whole thing is going to be ready to be cut into. But I'm going to honestly give it until tomorrow. I like to wait a long time on a bread, just let it completely cool down, and then it's perfect to my taste. Cut into, get some nice slices going, ready to enjoy. Alright, I hope y'all guys enjoyed checking out a video on how to bake your own artisan-style French bread with Poolish. If you appreciate it, leave a like on the video, and hey, maybe subscribe. Alright, take care, y'all.